We do have a full agenda today, committee. Are there any bill requests? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This wouldn't be a request. It would be a request reversal, if you will, just for the minutes. Previously, I had requested a bill to provide a sales tax exemption for fencing, for all fencing going forward, and that was amended onto a bill on the floor. So we no longer need that bill. So I'm just going to, I'm not even sure what words to use, just say that we no longer need that and withdraw that request for bill introduction.
Those are perfect words, Senator. Are there any questions or objections to the request? We'll reverse the request. Thank you, Senator. Let's go ahead and open the hearing on Senate Bill 311. Amelia, do you mind giving us an overview? Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill number 311 would provide a sales tax exemption for certain purchases and sales by the Johnson County Christmas Bureau Association. The bill would amend KSA 793606 to provide a retailer sales tax exemption for all sales of tangible personal property and services purchased by or on behalf of the association. The association is exempt from federal income tax pursuant to Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. And it would be for the purpose of providing food, clothing, cleaning supplies, personal care items, and other necessities to those in need and desiring assistance. And it would also include an exemption for all sales of tangible personal property by or on behalf of such organization. The bill would take effect from and after publication in the statute book. And if you're looking for the language, this is that long statute. If you look at page 37 of the bill is where you'll actually find the new language. And also as a reminder, this is a carryover bill from last session. And so if the bill were to be worked, there would need to be a technical amendment to bring this to the current statute language.
And thank you, Amelia. As we visited, if and when we do work the bill, we will make a Senate substitute motion so that we can save on printing cost. There are costs associated with legislation, so we want to be as efficient as possible. Committee, any questions for Amelia? Seeing none, thank you, Amelia. Our first conferee is Nina Kimbrough. Welcome to the committee. Nina, I mispronounced it and I just met you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Nina.
Nice to meet you, Madam Chair.
Welcome.
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Nina Kimbrough, and I am the Executive Director for the Johnson County Christmas Bureau. So thank you for having me today. If you know, the Johnson County Christmas Bureau has been serving our community for 62 years now. And I've recently actually become the Executive Director, but was so excited to be able to have an organization that has such a long history in our community of serving our neighbors who are in need. And so I wanted just to tell the committee a little bit about what we do. And the Johnson County Christmas Bureau, we supply warmth and support to between 11,000 and 14,000 members of our community every year. And we've been doing that, like I said, for the last 62 years. So we're really proud of that we are able to support our neighbors and make sure that they have the subsistence and things that they need during a time of sometimes a loss for them, loss of job, loss of income. We serve many veterans. We have a nursing home program where we serve our elderly and those in need in that area. And of course, women and children who may not have income, and also many of our neighbors who are just low income. They're the working poor. And so we make sure that they have the things that they need. Many times the other organizations in December, the times that we are able to provide, they have kind of run out of some of their funding. And so the Christmas Bureau is able to add that support to some of the other agencies in our area. We are able to provide for them a holiday shop where they can go in with dignity and shop for things that they are in need of. Those things like clothing, like food. We give away thousands of coats. We, of course, toys, because it's at Christmas as well. We have books that we give away, holiday items. We also give the adults a gift. And also, of course, we serve the teenagers. One of the things that's most important also is the personal care items that many are not able, hygiene items, those kind of things that they're not able to purchase with other things that they have been given. So we work with these individuals who are referred to us from other agencies that are 150% below the federal poverty level. And we're a grassroots organization. We have 150 individuals who are actually working throughout the year to purchase items, and then 3,000 individuals who are all of these are volunteers. Myself and one part-time person are the only staff of the organization. So over 3,000 are volunteers who help us every year. I wanted to, before I close, was to just to let you know of one situation we had this year where we found an email from one of our clients who sent this email, and she basically said, and I put it in my testimony today, you might have read, that she was so excited about what she received from the Johnson County Christmas Bureau that she was able to take care of her family. And she has twin girls. She said the icing on the cake was the fact that I received 2 brand new coats. She said, you know, my girls, they've never had, a new coat. And she said, for the first time, I'll be able to send them back to school with their name written on the coat. And so we shop all year round to make sure that our neighbors are taken care of during this time. We would appreciate any consideration for this bill, and I am available for any questions that you may have when the appropriate time comes.
Thank you, Nina. Committee, any questions? Senator Solentrop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
What kind of budget do you have to procure these items?
Yes. All right. Yes, our budget is over $1 million, and about $800,000 of that are gifts in kind, and about $300,000 budget that we have cash, because we also have to procure a building to be able to store and also house this large event, to be able to give to over 11,000 members of our community. We this year rented out the old Toys R Us store, and that store is filled. And so every year we have to secure a large enough building, about 50,000 square feet, so that we are able to pay that and make sure that we are able to give the quality of the enormous amount of items that we give away.
Senator
One
Solentrop.
follow-up, if I may.
Sure.
How much of the items are purchased as opposed to those being donated?
I'm sorry? The items purchased, we use the $300,000 budget.
Committee, any other questions? Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Nina, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Just a couple quick questions, Nina, Madam Chair. Number one, so this being a sales tax exemption, I assume this is going strictly to those items that your volunteers are purchasing, and then you're turning around and giving them to the qualified recipients?
Yes, sir.
And you're not using this, say, for any incidental purchases to run your organization or anything like that? It's purely just for
No, sir, that is a separate budget. And so all of the tax exemption items would be items that we purchase every year. So just to purchase the amount of coats, the amount of food items that we purchase, the amount of clothing that we purchase. We start purchasing on December 26th, actually, and purchase all year round.
Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a final question. Do you have just rough categories as far as percentage of the donations, say, or not, the donations, say, from a dollar value you acquire? Do you have any idea, like, how much is food versus clothing versus, like, toiletries versus maybe, like, things that aren't as, would be considered essentials?
Yes, most of the items that we purchase are for the essentials. So now we do get a large donation from some organizations as well. So we get a large donation from individuals for the personal care items. But even though we purchase things from places like Harvesters for purchasing our food, those are still purchases. So even though that is an organization that gives away food, we still have to make a purchase of that. Even though it's discounted, we still have the purchase. So as far as the percentages, the largest percent of area that we purchase our food, and then would be the coat area. And then I would say the next largest items would be the personal care items. Many of our toys are donated, and so we are able to have those not purchased as much.
Senator Holland. Any other questions, committee? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I apologize. I may, Director Kimbrough, have not followed like I should have. So it looks like, of course, in your name, the word Christmas. So from Senator Solentrop's question, I wasn't confident I understood his question or the answer.
Yes, sir.
Is this something that's done just basically December time each year? And do you talk about the families coming in, are they actually giving a portion of a cost, or you're totally giving charitable? They're not paying anything for these products?
No,
I know
sir.
you're buying them. Are you reselling them at a discount, or you're just giving them away? They come in and do their shopping with no money.
All of their shopping is free. Yes, sir. We do have a lot of our individuals who want to show that dignity, and many of them will give a donation sometimes, but that is not required. All of the items are given 100% free. So we call it a shopping experience because they have dignity in being able to pick out their own items. All of the coats are lined up, all of the food items, and they get to select them like they would go to a store and select them with dignity, but everything is 100% free of charge.
And your clients are all vetted, right?
Yes,
All
sir.
vetted to be sure that they're under that guideline.
Yes, sir. So these are all people that are referred to us from other agencies so that they meet the 150% below the poverty level standards.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So that's primarily done in December, or do you do it other times of the year?
It is done in December.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You mentioned purchasing the food through Harvesters. You are not paying tax to Harvesters, however, correct?
No, not to Harvesters. We pay about 20% of our budget to Harvesters, untaxed, but all the other areas that we purchase, those items are taxed.
I just wanted to clarify that.
And I'm sorry
No,
about that.
that's fine.
Any other questions, committee? Seeing none, thank you, Nina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me
Thank you
today.
all.
Our next conferee would be, did you want to testify, Bob? Okay, well, I would recognize the Honorable Bob Van Crum, former. I know, but I wanted to recognize you, that the committee that you're here as a past legislator. Thank you. And I'll refer to his testimony as written testimony then. Is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? Seeing none, committee, there's no written proponents other than the Honorable Van Crum. Any opponents to the bill? Seeing none. Are there any neutral testimony for the bill? Seeing none, committee will close the hearing on Senate Bill 311. Committee will turn our attention now to Senate Bill 519. Amelia, will you give us an overview?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill number 519 relates to income tax and would increase the Kansas standard deduction for individuals beginning in tax year 2023. The bill would amend KSA 7932-119 subsection C to increase the Kansas standard deduction of an individual to $4,375 for single individual filing status, $10,000 for married filing joint, and $7,500 for head of household filing status. And this would begin in tax year 2023. The amounts currently, if you're looking at the bill, if you move back one paragraph, the current provisions for the standard deduction amounts are $3,500 for single, $8,000 for married filing joint, and $6,000 for head of household. And the bill would take effect with publication in the statute book, and I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions? Seeing none. Eddie, do you have the numbers on, probably not for a handout, the 25%, 50%, 100% increases?
I don't have any sort of handout. If you give me a minute, I can pull up the email and tell you what those numbers are, though.
Okay. Committee, I'd like you to be aware of why this bill landed at 25% with the fiscal note. Thank you, Amelia. And Eddie, while you're pulling that up, committee, this is quite interesting on this legislation. There are no in-person proponents, written only from Mike Sibley. And Mike was not able to join us today because he is actually teaching class. So I would draw your attention to Mike's written testimony. And is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? Opponents to the bill, we have written testimony from Emily Fetch, the Kansas Action for Children, written only. Is there anybody that would like to testify against the bill? And there is no neutral testimony. Anybody that would like to testify neutral on the bill? Seeing none. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The 25% numbers are what are provided in the fiscal note for this bill, and that's fiscal year 23, a reduction in state receipts of $23.4 million, $78.4 million in fiscal year 25, and $79.1 million in fiscal year 26. And the 50% amounts were $46.3 million in 23, $154.8 million in 24, and $156.4 million in 25. And the 100% increase amounts were $90.6 million in 23, $302.8 million in 24, and $305.8 million in 25.
Committee, any questions for Eddie? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 519. Committee, I'll draw your attention to Senate Bill 520. We'll open the hearing. Amelia, thank you.
Senate Bill number 520 would establish an income tax credit for school and classroom supply expenditures by teachers. Specifically, the bill would provide for tax year 2021 and all tax years thereafter an income tax credit in an amount equal to the expenditures made by a qualified taxpayer for school and classroom supplies during the taxable year. The amount of the credit shall not exceed $250. The credit is refundable, and a qualified taxpayer is defined as an individual who is a Kansas resident and is employed as a public or private school teacher. And the bill would take effect from and after publication in the statute book, and I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions? I would ask, Amelia, I would ask that in the bill, I want to make sure we have another piece of legislation that's working its way through education. So if the teachers have been reimbursed by the school, is there anything that would restrict or limit this reimbursement?
I don't believe the language of this bill would address that situation.
Okay. Okay, thank you. But they do have to have receipts in case they're audited.
Whatever the Department of Revenue would require regarding claiming the credit to support the expenditures made during the taxable year.
Okay, thank you. Committee, any other questions? Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, maybe a request for Eddie, if we could find out the technical particulars, if there are school districts or third parties reimbursing teachers for school supplies, could we get a read on how that's done so that we could, in fact, if we want to move on this legislation, we could put in the appropriate technical cleanup to be sure that, you know, you don't have double dipping situations. Thank you.
Eddie?
Yeah, we can track down some information. There's probably a kind of a broad diversity of it, and it's probably going to be most easily handled by just a language change that Amelia would develop then, as opposed to something more from the education policy side. But we'll track down what we can.
Well, and I know that there's another piece of legislation that will be worked as to, so we need to make sure that the language is in sync. Committee, any other questions? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sort of along this same line, I find it interesting we've got a half-page bill, which I like short, straightforward bills, but generally we would clarify exactly what the expenditures would qualify. This says classroom supplies. That's fairly open-ended. I mean, I think common sense would tell us what classroom supplies are, school and classroom supplies, but most legislation spells out exactly what would be used as a part of this credit.
Senator Peck, would you like to respond? I'm Senator Holland. Sorry about that. I was getting ahead of myself.
Madam Chair, Senator Peck isn't schizophrenic on us, is he? Okay. No, Madam Chair, just what, and I would like to respond to that because I actually worked with an advisor to prepare this bill. First of all, that's why I wanted to cap it at $250. Second thing is that we will have teachers turning in receipts, and I think we can quickly go to our Department of Revenue after the first year of implementation, see if there are any issues. I mean, you technically had to do a post-audit, we could do that as well too, but just, I have a lot of teachers, public school teachers in my family, in my extended family. I am not concerned about $250 at this point. If the committee is, we could certainly tighten up the definition of what qualifies. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Peck. I told you I was ahead of myself.
Yeah, you were. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I would just mention that I would be a little more comfortable if we spelled it out, but also the 250 limit to me seems to be rather small, just a comment, and that's not a question for our revisor, but I would, if we're going to do this, I would like to see us bump that figure up. Again, just a comment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Any other comments or questions for Amelia? Thank you. Committee, again, we only have one conferee on this bill. It's written testimony only from Mike Sibley, and he is a teacher. So Committee, I would draw your attention to his testimony. Is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? I see your hand. I'm debating. You're welcome. You're welcome to come. Will you submit it to us? You did? I did. Okay. Okay.
I got receipt that it was received.
Well, welcome, Tim. I think this is your first time testifying in front of the tax committee.
May I take a
That's
few
why I was
deep-
debating.
May I take a
I'm
few
kidding.
deep breaths?
Yeah, no, you're good.
So my name is Tim Graham, and I work for the Kansas NEA. I think I know all of you, and I have testified in front of a few of you, but as long as I've known most of you, this may be my first time, so I appreciate being here. I just want to encourage you to read the testimony. There are a few items that are listed that would answer Senator Peck's question, just a few items, certainly not a total list of items. And I will just highlight some portions of my testimony. Kansas NEA strongly supports this concept. We welcome a tax policy that helps offset the cost incurred by teachers and educational support professionals that take money out of their own pockets to make their classrooms whole. However, please note that I would be remiss if in the support of this bill, if I didn't take the time to indicate that just because we do support this bill, that we also echo the comments of Senator Peck in saying that this doesn't come close to making the teachers whole on what they basically spend on an average for every school year. And the COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated this problem. So I want to strike the right tone here on my first time in front of you. I don't want to feel like we're not appreciative of this bill, because we are. And I certainly don't want to sound like we're trying to bite a hand that's trying to help us. We are very, very appreciative of this bill as our members of our association. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we feel like this dynamic of teachers shelling out money out of their own pockets has been something that has gone on for far too long, and it's almost become a dynamic that is expected, and we find that unfortunate. We would welcome dialogue with all members of the committee to talk about different strategies going down in the future on how we can do different things to help teachers. Madam Chairman, you and I have had plenty of dialogue over the years, so I know I'm welcome to come see you. And I would say that one amendment we could possibly recommend would be to amend the language to also include education support professionals, who are AKA paraprofessionals or paras, because they too shell out a lot of money, and they're not on the same pay scale as teachers, but they too shell out a lot of money to bring other items to the classroom. And I want to thank you for allowing me to testify, and I will stand for questions.
Thank you, Tim. Committee questions? Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, thank you. And Tim, thanks for bringing the discussion today. I appreciate the points you raise about, obviously the 250 probably for a lot of teachers doesn't go anywhere near what they do. I have some concerns, though, on a couple levels. We start talking about raising it above 250. As a parent who has kids or had children in public schools, and for those of you who had kids in public schools, you will know that every year the fees go up for your kids to attend public schools. And my point in having the 250 cap is because I think it's real easy to say, oh, well, let's give them $1,000 or whatever. I mean, you could make whatever you want to, but the problem is that the issue I have with teachers having to pay is, from my perspective, they shouldn't be having to pull out of their own pocket to pay for supplies for their classroom. That is stuff that should be funded through the school finance formula. Just like I think the school finance formula should basically fund a kid going to school and not have to pay for all the extraneous fees and stuff, okay, that the district access to. So my concern was if we start bumping up from 250 to 500 or whatever the heck it is, okay, then we're going to be just making it a de facto statement of it's cool for the districts not to pay for classroom supplies. And so I would just ask that the NEA and the KSAB, everybody come together and let's start drawing some lines on, how much of that has to come out of, basically a parent's pocket, the legislature's pocket, when we have a school finance formula that I thought was supposed to be covering these costs. And I'm ignorant on school finance formula, I guess, so if it's not supposed to cover that, I need some help. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Tim, you've had the privilege of sitting through many Senate Education Committee meetings now this session. So I will share with this committee the same concern that I've shared in Senate Ed. It's not just the teachers. It's not just administration. KASB, yes, needs to participate, but so does USA. There need to be these three groups that get together, and they need to be addressing this issue. When we see year after year, all of the cash carry forward, so unencumbered funds that are left over, and I'm not talking about textbook funds because those carry forward and those are separate columns because it's parents paying that fee that sits there. But we know year after year those funds are moving forward, and teachers are not getting the supplies that they need. They're not getting the supplies that they need to meet the students' needs. We are attacked repeatedly as legislators because we refuse to fund these things, and yet we look at school districts, they still have funds that they do not make available to the teachers. We have to come to an agreement on this. So any participation you can get with USA and KASB to move forward, I do think that building assessment would help. I think we need to be careful if we're going to put guardrails as far as what might be eligible. Having taught a variety of different courses, one of them that I repeatedly had to purchase supplies were for my debate students, simply to have appropriate clothing to be able to wear at debates. So there's going to be a wide variety of things that teachers might expend for students, and it's different per grade level. 250 doesn't come close to covering it, but it does get back to certain things truly should be purchased by the district, should be purchased by district funds. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Senator Holland.
And just a question for Mr. Graham. Do you know approximately how many public school, and I'd want to make this for both private and public school teachers, obviously, but we're talking about basically through primary, secondary, how many public-private school teachers do we have out there?
Kansas has 44,000 public school teachers.
Okay, so that's, yeah, and let me backtrack on that, because where I was going with that, Madam Chair, is from a fiscal note perspective, I was thinking somewhere around 40,000 plus.
Yeah, well, I should have said that, Tom.
No, it's okay. No, I was looking for it because, when I was putting together this bill, I just did a little Google thing about Kansas teachers. It was like 41,000. So my point to the committee is that right now, the way the bill is drafted, I would assume most of those teachers would file for this credit. I would assume most of that $250 would get claimed. We're already talking a fiscal note of about $10 million. 20?
The fiscal note's 20 million.
Okay, well, I was doing the Tom Holland method of $250 times 40,000 teachers, and I get 10 million. So my point is that it's already got some heft where it's at. So I would, again, caution, well, we'll save that for working the bill. Anyway, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee, Tim, I want to thank you for testifying and reaching out. I'll tell you, you may not realize where this bill originated. I have several teachers that are friends and family members, and I've heard them over the years talk about the expenses out of their own pocket. And as a taxpayer, I was completely frustrated and thought, what can we do? This is unacceptable. So you'll see 3 pieces of legislation regarding this issue this year. One is 65% of the funding be mandated to the classroom and the teachers. The other is that the school has to reimburse up to $250. And then this bill, where they can get a tax credit of up to $250. So this would be a total of $500 to start off with. I've heard this complained about for years, and instead of sitting back, and I've taken the initiative to help our teachers out and to get the money reimbursed that they need for their supplies. It makes no sense to me, for as much as we pay in tax dollars, that parents are paying fees to get into public schools and that teachers are paying out of their pocket for their school supplies. Something's broken when you have billions of dollars going into a system and it's not getting to where it needs to go. I know that was more of a statement than a question. If you'd like to respond.
Well, I could respond really to everybody. First of all, thank you. I don't think I can, nor would I, debate with any of you, but I don't think I can have a counter to anything that anything is said. I will respond to the 250 because pretty much there's been 4 or 5 of you that have brought up the amount of 250. It looks as if maybe that number also came from what's allowed on the federal level. No. Well,
I can tell you where the number came from. Teachers that I talked to throughout the summer, there were many of them, if it was science teachers, it would depend on what classroom they taught for their expenses. And this just kind of landed in the middle. There are some teachers that spend less than 100, but so it's a mix across the state.
I would agree with that. I would say in explaining this bill to a number of our members on a Zoom meeting the other night, I brought up the number that I did a simple internet search and saw some studies that say that the average teacher spends about $750 a year out of their own pocket. And I saw people giving the thumbs up, and the thumbs up wasn't, "You're correct, Tim." The thumbs up was, "We spend more." So, and again, and not everybody on the Zoom, but we had individuals on that Zoom call that said they'll spend north of $1,000 on different things. And the items, Senator Peck, are, I mean, everything, right? Particularly now with COVID and all the cleaning supplies and hand sanitizers and different things. It's just, and Senator Baumgardner makes a great point too. Sometimes it's clothing. It's everything. So I appreciate being here, and thank you for letting me testify, even though I didn't make it to your list.
It sounds like you should have been, and we've had a lot of busy, John does a great job. We're getting flooded with emails though, so it may have been just an oversight.
I will say I heard you testify in front of another committee, and you said, "I wish somebody from a teacher's organization would come testify for this bill on Monday," so I made sure I was here.
Thank you.
Okay.
I did.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and you know that is my constituent, the only testimony on it. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd like to switch gears just a little bit. For an old man, I'm probably double your age or so, and my youngest child graduated high school in 2001, so I realize that's 21 years ago. I'm struggling with why teachers have to buy any or very many classroom supplies. When my children were in school, when I was in school, my parents purchased everything. As a matter of fact, I was punished, had to stay in at recess if my parents didn't provide me with paints or whatever. Can you give me any historical perspective? When did it shift from the parents' responsibility to provide for their children to the teacher's responsibility to provide for their students? I just struggle with this, Mr. Graham, so I thought I would throw it out during this discussion.
Well, in the vernacular of education, you've given me a homework project. I don't know the history, and as you may know, I'm only into about my third or fourth month at KNEA, but that's something I'll go back and find out. I also would like to ask you that if you're double my age, could you give me some hints on how my hair could be as dark as yours? Because it's been something that's caused me a lot of anxiety over the years. No, you don't have to answer
I
that.
would say it's maybe your previous job? No.
Yeah.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, some of that, quite frankly, though, parents aren't going to pay for what goes up on the bulletin board, and parents aren't going to pay for certain supplies for different projects. So that would be really the responsibility of the district to make sure that those funds were available to the students. When you're talking about kindergarten through 5th or 6th grade, those rooms are filled with bulletin boards, and the expectation is those are going to be changed on a regular basis. Well, those funds aren't provided by the district, and so it's the teachers that are doing it. But just to give you an example, I pulled up one of the school districts in my Senate district, and it says, at the time of enrollment, you will pay instructional material fees of $90 per child. That's just one. I assume there will also be textbook fees and other fees, but that is just a base of $90. So I've heard that it's up to 3 figures, and we're not talking 100, but for some school districts, it's more than $200 per child just when they get them registered for school at the start of the school year.
It's too much. Thank you, committee. Any other questions for Tim? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Committee, is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? Seeing none, are there any opponents to the bill? Seeing none, are there any neutral testimony for the bill? Seeing none, committee will close the hearing on Senate Bill 520. We have a few minutes left. I know this is unusual, committee, but it is our last day before turnaround. I would like to entertain the possibility of working some of these bills. Would there be any objection to working Senate Bill 519? Seeing no objection, Amelia, do we need an overview real quick?
Madam Chair, just as a quick reminder, Senate Bill 519 relates to income tax and would increase the Kansas standard deduction for individuals beginning in tax year 2023. And the amounts would be $4,375 for single, $10,000 for married filing joint, and $7,500 for head of household. Senate Bill 519. Did I
That's fine. We'll
repeat
do
the correct?
519, committee. So, yeah, that's great. I did ask 519. It's fine. I'm going in reverse order, or I was, yeah. My list is reverse order, so 519. The standard deduction. Yeah, so committee, what are your wishes on 519? Senator Solentrop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move 519 out of committee favorably. I make the motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Senator Solentrop, seconded by Senator Baumgardner. Oh, Kirshen, okay. Seconded by Senator Kirshen. Discussion on the motion. Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do like the policy. However, I'm going to be voting, I guess, as a pass, only because I do want to draw the committee's attention to Kansas Action for Children. When they spoke against this, I'm not sure they're speaking so much against the fact of raising the standard deduction, but I do think they raise a good question as far as what are priorities for Kansas households for tax policy at this point. I think there's some debate as how much room we have for tax policy. I want to see food tax done, and I also want to be sure that we consider maybe a one-time income tax rebate versus an ongoing standard deduction increase as well as part of that discussion. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. I'm glad you brought that up. Committee, Senator Solentrop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a member of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, I would feel strongly that we've got more than adequate room to move this bill forward and accept these reduction in tax revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Committee, I would also bring to your attention, I was doing a little bit of math and looking at these pieces of legislation the last couple of weeks. I find it interesting that if we would go 100%, increase the standard deduction by 100%, so that would take a married filing jointly family from $8,000 to $16,000 a year. The fiscal note is approximately $300 million in the out years. That is less than both of the food sales tax that we saw in this committee. It would generate a savings for a majority of families in the state of Kansas, much more than what they pay in food sales tax. So I think we should and could be able to do something with both. And I fully support this legislation. In fact, I would support increasing it, but that's fine where the committee landed. 25% is a good start in the right direction. Committee, any other comments or questions? And if you think about it, a majority of low-income people that are on food assistance don't pay food sales tax at this point. But I know senior citizens and others do, and the standard deduction increase should be able to help them too. Because we do still have state income tax on Social Security and other retirement accounts. So it is a step in the right direction. Senator Solentrop, did you have a comment?
Madam Chair, I'd move my motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Committee, I'll turn your attention to Senate Bill 520. Amelia, thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill 520 would establish an income tax credit for school and classroom supply expenditures by teachers beginning in tax year 2021.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions? What are your wishes? Senator Baumgardner.
Madam Chair, I did have a quick question.
Okay.
Since it's for tax year 2021, how would that put it?
We should amend that.
That was my question.
Yeah.
How would that go into effect?
Senator, would you like to make a motion?
Okay.
The effective date?
The effective date, I think, should be changed to 2022.
For tax year 2022? Okay. Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, when I put that legislation together, I was thinking 2021 because specifically, you've got, there's inflationary pressures out there. You got people doing their 2021 taxes now.
Right.
And if the point is that they can get that relief now, and if they have to go back and amend their return later, so be it. But that's why I left it at 2021.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just from a procedural standpoint, how would they be able to put, when they are filling out their taxes for the state, how do they put this in there?
So there would not be anything on the form at this point, but Kathleen, would you mind addressing the date?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Kathleen Smith with the Department of Revenue. If we were to change the date to tax, right now for tax year 2021, people are filing their returns right now. We would have to figure out some way in which they could get the actual credit. So it probably would be preferable for us, for administrative purposes, if we could do it on the tax year 2022 return.
Which makes sense. Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Kathleen, could they not, in fact, amend their return at some point for 2021 if we left the language as is, even though you may not be able to give it to them right now, but they could always go back later and get back the $250.
Kathleen, I think that's an exorbitant cost for the administration.
Madam Chair, we could probably do that. We would have to redesign the forms that have already been published. Or we could somehow probably maneuver a way that they could claim it under another line and then not have to worry about the 2021 forms at this point.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I certainly appreciate the will of getting that to them now. Is another option for us that 2022, the amount would be $500 and years following that would be $250?
Kathleen, I think that's doable.
I believe that's a policy decision by you, and yes, we would be able to implement that, yes.
Yeah, it would just mean changing the forms 2 years in a row and a little bit of administrative overhead.
And perhaps by then, we may want to just keep it permanently at 500.
There you go. Thank you. Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, I think that would be very confusing to people. Why don't we just leave it at 250 and move it out to 2022 then?
Okay, Senator, is that a motion?
Just a comment. I'll fall
So
back to the maker of the motion, the amendment, if she, and I apologize, I'm not sure Senator.
she hasn't made a motion yet.
Okay, so
Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, would a motion be in order to amend and giving reviser technical leeway basically to make the bill effective with the 2022 tax year?
That would be an acceptable motion. So the motion's been made by Senator Holland. Is there a second on the motion? Senator Corson seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against, nay. Motion carries. Senator Holland, you want to move it out?
Madam Chair, if we're in order, I move that we move out.
Oh, wait, there's another motion. I'm sorry, Senator. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You'll notice there's a line in here that says if the amount of the credit exceeds the taxpayer's income tax liability for such taxable year, the amount thereof that exceeds such tax liability shall be refunded. Personally not comfortable with refundable tax credits, and so I just thought that I would mention that, and I'm debating within my own mind whether I should,
You want to make the motion
well, that's kind of
to
what
strike
I was thinking.
refundable? Okay.
To strike that sentence, which would make the tax credit available but not refundable.
Right.
So yes, I would make that motion.
Okay. So is the motion before us, is there a second on the motion? It's been moved by Senator Peck, seconded by Senator Solentrop to remove the refundable portion. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Holland.
Yeah, I'm going to speak against this motion. I mean, didn't we just pass a mega economic development thing that's fully refundable or something to that? I mean, when I think of all the business benefits we have around here are fully refundable, I don't know why we can't trust our teachers and whatnot to have the same benefits. So I don't support that amendment at all. Thank you.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I understand Senator Holland's comment. I did not support the Apex legislation. This is so minimal. It's $250, which, again, we might, before this gets out of the Capitol, change that amount. But it just seems like the refundable part is more administrative headache, heartache than what I am willing to do at this time. And so I just thought I'd mention that. I'm not going to withdraw the motion.
Thank you. Senator, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay? Nay. Would you like to be recorded? Okay. Motion carries. Back on the bill. Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, If it is
Yes.
appropriate, I would like to move out Senate Bill 520, favorable as amended.
As amended. It's been moved by Senator Holland, seconded by Senator Peterson. All those, discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Committee, we are out of time. I wanted to work Senate Bill 311 also. We are an exempt committee, so we can work that after turnaround. We got 2 minutes. I don't think we'll do that. There was other bills I wanted to work too. I wanted to work 433. We had it queued up. Can we work that first thing after turnaround then, Senator? Would that be acceptable to you guys? We'll queue it up after turnaround. Okay.
311, Madam Chair?
433 and 311. Okay, committee. I think this concludes our work until we're back March 1st. Is there any other business to be brought before the committee? Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, I just truly want to compliment you on Senate Bill 520. We should have done that a long time ago, and you made that happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Team effort. So that's what I like about this committee. Committee, no other business. Thank you for your work and look forward to hopefully getting some of these across the floor this week. We're adjourned.